be me. 39F, creative director at a mid-sized advertising agency. Been in advertising for 15 years, working my way up. Her agency has about 65 people across creative, accounts, strategy, and production. Mix of designers, copywriters, art directors, project managers. Leadership is me, 2 male creative directors, CEO, who's a guy. I run the design team, 18 people including junior designers and seniors. My team is actually pretty balanced, 10 women and 8 men. But I notice the same patterns everywhere in advertising. Men getting credit for collaborative work. Women's ideas getting absorbed without acknowledgement. The loud voices dominating while quiet contributors get overlooked. Been thinking about this for months, reading about workplace equity. How do you actually measure who's contributing what? In creative work, everything blends together. One person's concept becomes another's design, becomes someone else's copy. By the time a campaign launches, nobody remembers who started what. The people who speak up in meetings get remembered. The ones doing foundational work in the background don't. This bothers me constantly. Decide I'm going to fix it with data and transparency. Spend 3 weeks designing what I call the contribution tracking system. Every project task gets assigned points based on complexity. Initial concept work, 5 points. Design execution, 3 points. Revisions and refinements, 2 points each. Client presentations, 4 points. Mentoring junior staff, 3 points per session. Created a whole detailed rubric. Points get logged in a shared spreadsheet everyone can see. At the end of each month, we tally totals. Top contributors get recognized in our team meeting. The goal is to make invisible work visible. To prove with data who's really pulling weight. Present the system to my team in our Monday morning meeting. Everyone gathered around the conference table looking curious. Explain that we're implementing contribution point tracking. So, everyone's work gets properly recognized. Show them the spreadsheet. Explain the point values. Say this will help us see patterns and ensure equity. The room goes quiet. My senior art director Maya raises her hand. So we're being scored on everything we do now. Not scored, tracked, I clarify. This is about visibility and recognition. One of the junior designers asks who assigns the points. Team leads will log them based on task completion. I assure everyone this is to help not hurt them. Meeting ends with uncertain nods. Week 1 of the new system. I'm excited to finally have concrete data. Assign all my team leads access to the tracking spreadsheet. They start logging points for completed tasks. By Friday, I pull the first week's report. 3 people have over 30 points. 5 people have under 10. The rest scattered in between. Notice that Marcus, one of my senior designers, is at 45 points. He's been vocal about his contributions, making sure every task he touches gets logged. Meanwhile, Jenny, who I know does excellent foundational work, has only 12 points. I ask her team lead about it. She says Jenny's been working on early-stage research. That doesn't fit neatly into the point categories. So barely anything got logged. This is already not working how I planned. Week 2, and I'm seeing concerning patterns. The designers who are good at self-promotion. They're making sure every single thing they do gets logged. Even minor contributions getting marked down. The quieter team members aren't advocating for their points. Their leads are logging less because the work is less visible. I send out a reminder about thorough logging. But it doesn't help. People start gaming the system. Marcus starts breaking his work into smaller tasks. So each component gets logged separately. Normally, he'd do a full design pass. Now he's logging ideation, rough draft, color palette, typography separately. His points shoot up to 60 in week 2. Jenny is still under 20 because her research work doesn't break down into discrete scoreable tasks. Start getting complaints in one-on-ones. My copywriter Sarah comes to my office frustrated. Says she spent all week on tagline concepts for a major client. But because none got approved yet, no points logged. Meanwhile, the designer who'll eventually execute her concept will get 3 points just for putting it into a comp. That doesn't seem fair, she says. She's right, it's not. Week 3, and team dynamics are shifting. People are obsessed with the spreadsheet. I catch designers checking it multiple times a day. Someone created a Chrome extension to show real-time rankings. In team meetings, people are openly comparing point totals. Marcus mentions he's leading this month. Jenny looks visibly uncomfortable. The collaborative spirit is disappearing. People are protective of their ideas now. Less sharing in early brainstorms. Because if you contribute to someone else's concept, they get the points when it's executed. Better to keep ideas to yourself. Our best work always came from collaborative building. Now, everyone's working in silos to protect their points. Month 1 wraps, and I hold the recognition meeting. Announce the top 3 contributors. Marcus first with 180 points. Devin second with 160. Priya third with 145. Everyone claps, but the energy feels off. After the meeting, Jenny and 2 other women come to my office. They're upset about how the system works. Jenny explains she spent most of the month on strategic research, foundation work that enabled 3 successful campaigns. But research doesn't generate points like execution does. Another designer, Alicia, says she's been mentoring 2 junior designers. But 3 points per session doesn't reflect hours of actual work. Meanwhile, people are racking up points for quick revision tasks. Priya, who made top 3, actually agrees with them. Says she feels weird being recognized when she knows Jenny's research made her designs possible. I tell them I'll adjust the point values. But they shake their heads. It's not the values, it's the whole concept. You can't quantify creative contribution, Jenny says. Some of the most important work is invisible by nature. Second month, and I try to fix the obvious problems. Increase points for research and strategy work. Add categories for collaborative contribution. Create bonus points for work that enables other work. The spreadsheet is now incredibly complex. No one fully understands the rubric anymore. My team leads are spending hours trying to log everything correctly. One tells me it's taking more time to track work than do work. But I'm committed. This has to work. Second month, results come out. Marcus still wins, but several others are close behind. I think maybe it's balancing out. Then I notice something in the data. The top performers are all working insane hours. They're taking on every possible task to maximize points. Marcus logged 72 hours in 1 week. He looks exhausted, but he's winning. The people with lower points aren't slacking. They're just working sustainable hours. My point system is incentivizing overwork. Start getting complaints from the account team. They say my designers are refusing to help on projects, unless it's formally assigned so they get credit. Before, people would jump in to help teammates. Now they say not my project, not my points. Collaboration has completely broken down. One of my junior designers comes to me in tears. Says she feels like she's failing. She's in the bottom third of points. But she's learning and growing. Doing exactly what a junior designer should do. My system is making her feel inadequate. 3 months in, and the CEO calls me to his office. He's heard complaints about my team. From account managers, from clients, from other departments. Says the creative quality has dropped. Projects are taking longer. Team morale seems low. I try to explain the tracking system. How it's meant to create equity and recognition. He listens, then says, show me the results. What improved since you started this? I pull up the data. Realize I have 3 months of point tracking. But no actual measure of impact. Are campaigns better? Is team satisfaction higher? Are under-recognized people getting more opportunities? I don't actually know. I just have numbers in a spreadsheet. He asks if I've surveyed team satisfaction. I haven't. I assumed data would speak for itself. He suggests I do that before our next meeting. Send out anonymous survey that afternoon. Results come back within 24 hours. 72% of team says morale has decreased. 84% say collaboration is worse than before. Multiple people use the word toxic to describe the environment. Comments are brutal. Feels like we're competing instead of creating together. I spend more time gaming the point system than doing good work. The tracking system destroyed trust on our team. I used to love coming to work, now I dread checking the spreadsheet. This system has made me feel like my contributions don't matter. Sit in my office reading these responses feeling sick. I created this to help people, especially women whose work wasn't getting recognized. Instead, I made everything worse for everyone. That night, can't sleep, replaying all my mistakes. I was so focused on making contribution visible that I forgot creativity isn't actually quantifiable. You can't reduce collaborative creative work to points. The things I valued most, they're the least trackable. Next morning, I call an all-team meeting. Everyone files in looking wary. I take a deep breath. Start by apologizing. I created the contribution tracking system with good intentions. I wanted to make everyone's work visible and valued. Instead, I created competition and destroyed our collaborative culture. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. Effective immediately, we're ending the point system. Deleting the spreadsheet, removing all the tracking. Going back to how we worked before. There's visible relief in the room, but also some uncertainty. Marcus speaks up, so what about recognition? I tell him that's a fair question. Recognition matters, contribution matters. But tracking points wasn't the right way. Jenny raises her hand, asks what will change. Can't just go back to how it was. She's right, we can't. I spend the next hour listening to what the team actually wants. They want credit on case studies to match actual contribution. They want strategic and research work valued as much as execution. They want senior people to actively name whose ideas they're building on. They want mentorship time to actually count in workload planning. They want client presentations to include the whole team sometimes, not just the loudest voices or senior people. Everything they're saying makes sense. None of it requires a point system. Following week, I work with team leads to create new practices. Every project now has a contribution log. Not for points, just documentation. So when case studies get made, everyone's work is credited. Institute a practice in team meetings. Before presenting an idea, name whose previous work informed it. This idea builds on Jenny's research. This concept evolved from a conversation with Alicia. Start rotating who presents to clients. Not based on seniority, based on who did the strategic work. Create official mentorship hours that count toward workload. So mentoring isn't invisible labor anymore. Implement quarterly reviews that consider diverse contributions. Not points, just conversations about value added. These changes are simple, but they work. 3 months after killing the point system. Team satisfaction survey shows 68% improvement. Collaboration is back. People are helping each other. Creative quality is up. Clients are happier. Recognition is happening organically. One morning, Maya stops by my office. Says she wants to thank me. For what? I ask. For the failed point system. No, for killing it, she says. For listening when it wasn't working. For admitting you were wrong. That meant more than getting the system right. I tell her I learned a hard lesson. You can't solve cultural problems with spreadsheets. She laughs. Yeah, you really can't. 6 months later, I'm asked to speak at a creative leadership conference about innovation in team management. Almost declined because my innovation spectacularly failed. But then I think maybe that's exactly the story to tell. Stand on stage in front of 300 creative directors. Tell them about my contribution tracking system. How certain I was that data would create equity. How thoroughly it backfired. How it took destroying team culture to learn what actually mattered. The room is quiet, engaged. After my talk, a dozen people approach me. Several say they were planning similar tracking systems. Now they're going to reconsider. One woman says she implemented something similar last year. Had the exact same problems I did, but kept pushing through thinking it would eventually work.
She's going to shut it down this week.
Another creative director asks for advice. Says he has the same recognition problems I was trying to solve. How do you make invisible work visible without quantifying it? I tell him what worked for us. Documentation for credit, not competition. Cultural practices that name contributions. Rotation of opportunities instead of rankings. Recognition based on conversation, not calculation. He takes notes, thanks me for being honest. Year after the point system disaster. My team is thriving in ways I didn't expect. Yes, we're doing good work and clients are happy. But more than that, people trust each other again. Jenny got promoted to senior strategist because we finally had documentation showing her contribution. Marcus is still producing great work, but he's not burning out chasing points, working sustainable hours and mentoring juniors. 3 junior designers who almost quit during the point system. They stayed, and they're growing into strong mid-level designers because we fixed the recognition problem without making them compete for validation. Our team has been recognized by industry publications, not for innovative tracking systems, but for actual creative work. One afternoon, I'm reviewing a new campaign with the team. Someone suggests a revision to Jenny's strategy. The person who suggests it explicitly says, "Building on Jenny's framework here." Jenny nods appreciation. This idea gets incorporated. Credit stays clear without any tracking. That's the moment I know we got it right. Not through systems or spreadsheets. Through culture and consciousness. I still think about the point system sometimes. How absolutely certain I was that it would work. How much damage it did before I admitted failure. The months of toxic competition it created. But I also think about what I learned. That equity isn't about equal points. It's about equal respect and recognition. That measurement can obscure what actually matters. That collaborative work resists quantification. That data can't replace culture. That sometimes the most important contributions are the ones that can't be counted. 2 years later, I get a message from Marcus, the guy who dominated the point system. He says, looking back, he hates who he became. Competitive, protective, burned out, obsessed with numbers instead of craft. Thanks me for killing it even though he was winning. Says he's doing his best work now. Because he's not trying to prove anything, just trying to make good things with good people. That message stays with me because it confirms what I learned. You can't gamify your way to equity. You can't track your way to recognition. You have to actually value people's contributions, which means seeing them as humans, not as point totals in a spreadsheet. Anyway, that's my story about creating a contribution tracking system that completely backfired and destroyed team culture. About learning that data can't replace judgment, that systems can't replace understanding, that you can't quantify creativity, and shouldn't try. My team isn't perfect now. We still have recognition issues, sometimes. Still working on equity and visibility. But we're doing it through conversation, through consciousness and culture, through actually respecting each other's work, not through points and rankings. And that's made all the difference. Sometimes the best thing you can do, as a leader, is admit your innovation was a terrible idea. Kill it before it kills your team. And figure out what actually matters, which is usually simpler than you think, and can't be captured in a spreadsheet.